Right, in this video you're going to be shown how to trace using Adobe Flash. When you open Flash, the first thing you want to do is create a new and then select Action Script 3, which is in the middle and it's the first option. Right, when you click that, the canvas appears for Flash, so this is what it looks like. You've got a timeline at the bottom which we're not going to be using at the moment, but you will be making use of these tools on the right hand side. Okay, if you prefer these tools to be on the left hand side, you can go ahead and pick up the toolbar and move it and sync it into the left, like this. There we go. It's only because this is how you work in Photoshop, so I don't know, you might find it easier just for the similarity. Okay. Okay. Fine. Right, what you need to do now to trace something is put on the original image. Now, what I've done is just gone online and I've just found this picture of this dog. So this is what I want to trace. This is about a 500 by 500 pixel image. It's decent, it's quite clear, so it's a good size image, so that would be suitable. Right, so if I go back here to Flash, what you need to do is go to File, import, and you can import to stage. That will simply just put the image on your canvas here, but just in case you mess something up about it or delete it accidentally, you're going to have to go back to File, Import, and import it to stage again. This is why I always recommend to just import to library, and then what it does is it puts it in your library, which is just like a separate area where you can always access the file. So just dog, and once it's done that, it puts it in your library here. Okay, so your library is here on the right hand side. If you can't see your library, then you can go to a window and then show library and it should be there. So I'm going to pick up the dog now and just place it on my canvas. It's actually quite large, so I'm just going to downsize it by clicking the third icon here on the left hand side, which is your transform tool. And I'm just going to go ahead and hold down Shift to downsize. To be honest with you, actually, I'm not going to be tracing the whole dog, so I'm just going to leave it quite large, actually. If you wanted to trace the whole dog, then you'd be advised to downsize your actual image. Right, I'm just going to leave it like that, and it's on layer 1 here at the bottom, you can see. I always recommend renaming your layer, so just go ahead and rename that. That's original, and I'm just going to lock it so I can't touch it or do anything else to it now. I'm going to create a new layer, which is going to be, sorry, let me just get rid of this. A new layer which is going to be my actual trace, so I'm just going to go ahead and call it trace. Okay, I'm just going to Control plus and zoom in just to show you what I want to do. Let me just zoom in a bit more. Just zoom in a bit out. You can make this smaller here. You can also type in the exact percentage you want to zoom in. That's 250. Let's zoom in to 300. There we go. Okay, so what I want is this dog's head, including his ears, his eyes, his snout, and his mouth. Okay. You simply go ahead and start doing a dot to dot with the pen tool. Now the pen tool is the 6th one down. Okay, so once you've got the pen tool activated, you simply go ahead and you click. Oops, that jogged a bit. Let me do that again. Click. And then, my touchpad is just being really annoying. Click and then let go, click and then let go, and then you simply do dot to dot around whichever part you want to trace, and then you complete like the cycle, so you make like a 2D shape. Okay, let me zoom in on that a little bit more so you can see. So that's what it looks like at the moment, and you're probably thinking, well, that just looks dodgy. Well, the main thing is to get like the furthest part of the outline at like key points, like I've done here, and then you can curve out the lines or curve in the lines as you wish. Now this doesn't have to be like 100% perfect, it's just going to be around about the shape and size of whatever it is you're tracing. Remember, this logo is supposed to be something that you've created yourself, so it's actually a good thing if it's not exactly the same as something else. So I'm just going to go ahead next to the line. When you see your cursor just here on the white space, it's got like a little box next to it, but when you move it next to a line, that box turns into like a little curve. When that curve appears, you click and then you pull or push the line, and this curves it as you want it. Okay, so just do it as you need to do it. I'm obviously going to not do it perfectly here because I've got other parts to show you. So I'm just going to be a little bit quick. There you go. That's about the ear size I want it to be. That's fine. Let me just zoom out. So that's what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and do the other ear. So let me just go ahead and zoom in. Get my pen tool. And so remember, you click and let go, click and let go. Now as you do this clicking and let go, you'll soon realize where the best places are to actually place your dots or your points with your pen tool, so you get as close as much as possible or as you want for your trace. Okay, so remember, once you finish doing the dot to dot, you've got to complete the 2D shape, and then you go ahead and then you select the first tool on the toolbar, which is selection tool, and then you go ahead and wait for the curved line, and then you click and drag. So remember, you can click outwards or inwards depending on what you want, and remember, it doesn't have to be 100% perfect or matching exactly whatever it is you're tracing, because it's good if God, my touchpad, if it is a little bit different. There you go. Right, so that's what it looks like at the moment. Let me hide my original. There you go, ears. I'm going to go ahead and actually rename this layer ears, because I'm going to draw or trace the head on a separate layer, just to keep it away from the ear lines. What happens in Flash, let me show you an example. So I've got the pen tool. If I just, let me just draw a shape. There you go. I've just drawn a 2D shape, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw 2 other lines. There you go. Now that shape that I drew first was meant to be separate from these 2 lines that I drew after. Okay, but what Flash does is whenever lines cross over each other or they intersect, it breaks them up. So obviously you know that I drew this separately, and you know that I drew this separately. So really I should be able to just click this and pick up the whole thing. But as you can see, if I just zoom in a bit more, whatever I have just selected, it will shade it. So as you can see, only that has been shaded because that is only selected because this line intersected that. Similarly, if I click this, it's broken it up. So when you've got lines or points or curves or circles or whatever that are going to cross over something else, you're better off putting them on a separate layer. So I know that my head is going to like meet the ear lines at some point, so I'm going to put it on a separate layer, so that if I want to move it, you know, all of it slightly to the left or the right or whatever, then I can do it without interrupting my workflow. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the head outline now. If for whatever reason you're using an image which has quite dark colors and this black outline is not working for you very well, you can always change the color of the outline and then change it back after. So if I click the pen tool, you can see here in properties, you can change the color. So for whatever reason, if you wanted yellow, just so you could see it better, then you can go ahead and do that. Before I go ahead and start doing dot to dot, can you notice I've put the padlock on ears as well as the original, so I can't accidentally start editing on ears because I want to keep it separate, right? And if you want to hide ears, like not even look at it, then you can go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and then just quickly do this. Let's give him a bit of a jaw. So again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you know, it will need to look realistic at least. There you go. Get the black tool, or the black arrow tool rather, and then go ahead and adjust as you need to. Go zoom in when you need to zoom in. And some of you are probably already thinking, what if my point isn't exactly where I want it when I'm doing this bit? So let me just do this last bit. So some of you might say, well, this point here, it's not where I wanted it. I want to move the actual point. Well, you can actually move the point. Underneath the black arrow, you've got a white arrow, which is a sub-selection tool. If you just click anywhere on that line, you'll see all the points highlight, these little, the vertices, I guess, that's what they are, right? You can actually click them and move them, so you can do a fair bit of adjustment. Okay. Let me go ahead and hide my original. And I'm going to show my ears. Oh, sorry, wrong one. There you go. So that's what I've got so far. And when I said about you can always change the color of the outline after, you can. So you go ahead and click on the arrow tool, select the head. When you select the head layer or whichever layer it is that you want to work with, you'll notice that the shading appears, that it's telling you that it's selected everything on that layer. Okay, so once you've got that, you can go ahead and change the color of the outline. There you go. Okay. If you then further want to adjust lines or vertices, you want to pull them forward or back, whatever, then go ahead and do it. You can individually delete lines, but I would recommend keeping the whole of the 2D shape on each of the layers. So for example, the head part here, you know that if I move it, so there's not a gap here, so that it's over the ear line here, you might think that, well, there's no point having two lines, just have one. But then each of those lines is completing the 2D shape, which you're going to need for filling. So I would leave 2 lines, okay? If you don't understand what I just said, just make sure one line is covering the other. Don't delete it, because you can delete it by just pressing delete like this and clicking, here we go, and deleting. So you can just delete lines if you don't want them. Because sometimes you'll get like really small lines that have just appeared because 2 other lines have crossed over. So you can get rid of them. So let me go ahead and just bend this line so it's not causing that little gap to appear. This vertex or this point here is just not what I want. So I'm going to just zoom in on that, and I don't know where it's gone. So let me just do this. Zoom in. Ah, where'd it go? This way. I'll just bring it in. Oops. Oh, I've got the pen tool selected. I was wrong. The second arrow to move that point. There we go. It's a bit better. So you can just like perfect it as you need to perfect it, and you can do so on the other side as well. So, so far I've only done the head and the ears, but you slowly keep doing this, and then you do the eyes and the snout and the mouth and whatever else it is that you want to do. You can even do the patch as well. And you are recommended to keep making separate layers just so you can treat things differently and separately. One thing I will show you before I finish off here and show you one I made earlier is when you're doing things like eyes that you need 2 of, or like the nostrils of the snout that you need 2 of. So when you need to do 2 of the same thing, you need to work smart here and make sure you duplicate. Okay, so there's no point in just drawing like the outline very carefully of one eye and then doing the exact same thing for the other eye. You're much better off duplicating. So here's what I mean. So I've got the eye layer selected. All the others are locked so I don't accidentally start editing on them. I'll get the pen tool. You can draw a circle for this, but I think a circle is not very realistic, so I'm just going to go ahead and do my shape. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and get my selection tool and push or pull so it's exactly how I want it. Let me zoom in on that. If it starts getting difficult to look at, remember you can change the color just so you can see it a bit better. So it's just for the sake of editing you do this. When you select a layer and everything selects and you want to go ahead and start moving the line or curving the line, it's not letting you do it. It's because everything is selected, so you just have to click somewhere else first and then come back. Okay. So for me, this is a more realistic eye than doing a straight up circle or oval. So I think it's worth the time. That's fine. I'm happy with that. Right, so I want the same on this side, and obviously flipped horizontally, so it's like a mirror image. So all you simply do is select the layer. So you click it over here, and it automatically selects everything. If for whatever reason you just want to do it this way, then you can. You select a part of that line that you've just done, or the outline that you've just done. Hold down Shift, and you can just select the rest of it. Okay, if for whatever reason you want to do it this way, that's fine. Until it's all shaded, that means it's all selected, right? Then you simply Control C for copy, and then Control V for paste, and you'll see that it has actually pasted. First thing that I'm going to do is Shift an arrow and send it across, but it should be mirror image, right? So, and you can just set the height as you want it. Whilst it's still all selected and shaded, go to modify, go to transform, and then go to flip horizontal. So that's now a mirror image, and it is a mirror image, and I'll show you by hiding the original. There you go. Okay, so you carry on doing that until you've got a full outline, and your full outline might look something like this. There you go. So I'll show you this against the original. There you go. So that's what it looks like. Let me just zoom in so you can see. There. Okay. The nose looks a little bit piggy, but doesn't matter. When you fill it in, it will look different. Okay, so I'm happy with that final outline. You can actually fill in Flash, as in fill the color, fill this in black, and then do your brown and do whatever else. But I'm just going to go ahead and do it in Photoshop. So I really only use Flash, or I would only use Flash for the logo, for just the trace. Okay, so just to make your original piece. So this is how you now save the whole file, and then save, so you can now start editing it in Photoshop. First thing that you must do is save the Flash file. So you simply must do save as an FLA document here. Yeah, so call it something sensible like dog trace, cat trace, whatever, and then just press save. Yes. Because you don't want the original to be a part of your final JPEG. And although the original is hidden, it's still actually there. So let me show you. File, save as. Oops, not save as, export file. So let me just hide it, but not delete it. File, export image. I want it as a JPEG. Let me just call this JPEG, dog trace version 1. And there are 3 things you need to do here. First, you set the resolution to at least 150. Then you change the include part to minimum image area. And then you make sure quality is 100. Click OK, and then let's go ahead and see what we've done. Trace version 1. Okay, so what you need to do first is delete the original, because we don't want that to be a part of our work. We just want this to be a part of our final image. Go ahead and go to export, export image, save it as something that you will recognize it by. So I'm just going to call this dog trace final JPEG. And then you do 3 things here. First, you make sure that the resolution is 150 or 200, nothing less than 150, otherwise the quality will be quite poor. Include only the minimum image area, and quality should be 100, and then you click OK. Then what you're left with is this dog trace final. Okay. If you don't, let me just get rid of this. If you don't get rid of the original before you export, then you end up with all this extra space because your original image was taking up all that space on your canvas. So just make sure you get rid of the original image before you export, okay? So my dog trace file, let's say, if I'm going to say don't save changes because I've deleted the original because I might want to do something again. That's the other one that I was showing you. And that's it. So what we have ended up with is this. So this is now ready to be edited in Photoshop.